All right, you guys, we are back. It's your boy Q, and up next we have why Drake is getting ready to diss Kendrick Lamar again. Shout out to Fantastic Hip Hop for the video. Honestly, I feel like anybody with two brain cells can pretty much figure out that Drake is trying to re-engage again. Honestly, like the subliminal posts and like sassy like story posts and stuff like that, we can all pretty much get a sense that he's trying to re-engage again. Which I honestly don't feel like is the smartest strategy. You want to pretty much have the element of surprise if you've ever read like 48 Laws of Power, and alerting somebody like Kendrick is just going to cause him to do what he's been doing, just lock in more and just prepare. Don't really feel like it's a smart strategy to telegraph your intentions.
Now, as Drake has flooded the internet this week with new content from his 100 gigabyte leak, which has featured everything from never before heard songs to clips of him making some of his most iconic albums.
Talking to his
Within
mom.
all of this never before seen media that seems to be taking a look onto the past and pretty much trying to make us all remember the times where Drake seemed to be on top and
Of course, he's trying to bring it back to a simpler time when he was more beloved, at least amongst the casual listeners. It's the biggest umbrella, you know? And honestly, I do feel like he did this to kind of change the narrative that he doesn't write, which I don't think was ever really the case. The whole conversation really was that, dude, if your biggest songs are getting written by somebody else, that should take you out of the conversation as far as being the best rapper, the number one rapper. I feel like everyone should kind of know that he does write.
delivering the world music that at the bare minimum most people liked. As
Yeah.
all of these videos of the old Drake have been getting posted on every single corner of the internet. Drake's also been leaving a breadcrumb trail that when you follow, is leading people to his next major move, which isn't
Fam, if we can all see this, do you think Kendrick and Dave Free over at PG Lang aren't seeing this as well? A group of people that that honestly navigated the beef to perfection. Like, yeah, man, you'd be crazy to think they don't see this and aren't preparing themselves for the same thing. And like I said, dude, you want the element of surprise in any attack, man. You want to have the element of surprise when they know you're coming. Now they can prepare, and now the dude may have a nuke on his side.
just gonna be the release of new music. But from the way he is setting things up to be, it'll be some sort of a round 2 against Kendrick Lamar and potentially a lot of the other artists who dissed him, but now this time around. It doesn't seem like Drake is going to be hopping back into the booth and making more songs like Push-Ups and Family Matters, which considering how that went for him definitely seems like a smart thing on his end, but instead, he is going to be reigniting this beef within a way that is much more catered to his style and strengths, but to figure out exactly where he's going to go with.
Obviously, if it's not rap skill that's going to get him the victory, it's going to have to be something else, like trying to tide over the public opinion, maybe. I feel like right now, though, the culture is definitely leaning in one direction. And right now, it's not really him. Not to say he's gonna go broke anytime soon. No, the dude is still, he could still do arenas and pack them out. There's still gonna be tons of people that want to go see him. But I feel like he does want the acceptance of the culture and hip hop. I feel like that's what's definitely kind of motivating all this, at least for him.
With this. All we have to do is look at Drake's recent activity, and now before we can get into Drake's actual plan for this round 2, it's important to understand why Drake did not just hop into dropping more music and taunting Kendrick or any of his other opponents again, but instead has released 100 gigabytes of content, because with this move, as Drake has released so many clips that included him recording hit songs, explaining the inspiration for those iconic hits, and even see him laying down reference tracks for other rappers,
Yeah.
by showing the world
Right there, basically insinuating what I said. Like, you want to change the narrative that you don't write. Because I feel like people know he writes his own stuff. But references have definitely come out to prove that some of your biggest records are Parties or Vori or a plethora of other people now. He's also trying to change the narrative that he's a bad dad. There was footage of him and his kid, Adonis. He also showed his relationship with his mom, which was hilarious because over here he's trying to explain to her why he's getting sassy with Serena, and even his mom wasn't having it.
All these moments, and of course having all these clips circulate around the internet. Drake has quietly been conditioning people to accept him once again and forget about the disaster class that has been the last few months of his career, because while his run of songs and the finale in the Kendrick Lamar beef hurt his image pretty severely, having all of these clips that people are still unpacking go around the internet and reveal to us new lore and show off Drake's creative process when he actually was releasing music that people somewhat enjoyed is changing the narrative around him slowly without doing actually anything. But now beyond this, which is pretty much just a distraction from the current train wreck that is his career at the moment, Drake has been using not his website but social media to reveal his plan for this round 2 in the beef, and now as Drake made his own fake Instagram account that he has been posting to for months and just revealed to us called Plot Twist. Where before Drake made this account public, it was just a private account that he followed and people took notice of and began to hype up and speculate what it could be.
Do not underestimate the power of like the internet sleuth, the internet detective, but they will get down to the bottom of things. Fucking hilarious.
Now, in addition to this page, it has been found that Drake follows another mysterious account, and here the bio on this page ends with the sentence, "Here we go again, round 2 fight." And now with this seems like another account that Drake has on private right now and will be going public with sometime in the near future. And now the bio for this page can really only be referring to one thing, and now building on these accounts that seem to be creating some sort of narrative for Drake and trying to line up what is on the radar for him. Drake has done even more teasing on the first burner account Plot Twist, as through many of his posts on this page. When you get through a lot of the pointless ones that really just make this account look like Drake's worst impression of making a second account like Kendrick Lamar did over a year ago. There is a post that has a picture of cases that say "No one likes us Euro 2024," and now with this is the second.
Is that him trying to like infer that his next tour in Europe is going to be called that? He kind of tried to do that with like the 6ix9ine moniker by putting it in that game of bowling and stuff like that and kind of leading with it and running with it. I don't know if it really is going to hit how he's thinking though.
A major part of what Drake is doing that is very important, because this is a clear signal that before the year ends, Drake is going to be doing some sort of show, experience, or maybe even an entire tour through Europe, and this is going to...
It may just be a few city tour. He probably might hit like 6 cities or something. It doesn't have to be an extensive tour.
Be the branding of the show, which is obviously a direct reference and flip of Kendrick Lamar's final Drake diss, Not Like Us, and the song's hook. And with this, we are seeing the strategy that Drake is seemingly adopting now to prepare for this round 2 with Kendrick Lamar, which is not going to be to fight back on the things that have been said, but instead is going to be to embrace them in his own way and try to throw them back in Kendrick's face. And while I don't know if this is going to work and how Drake is really going to make...
Like I said, just for like the 6ix9ine moniker, he's doing the same thing. He's trying to... He also did it with the BBL Drizzy beat by taking the sample and rapping over it on that Sexy Red record, which honestly I feel like, especially right after Kendrick was literally calling out the relationship between him and Sexy, I don't know if it was the smartest move to clear that. It would have been dope if he were to do that, to just do it by himself. Attaching it to that record didn't do it any favors, because arguably it was probably the worst record on the album. He is trying to take the sting out of like some of these things by like embracing them and kind of leaning into it.
Make one of the most humiliating diss tracks ever released flip into something that will change the perception of it and him. But if you're going to name your tour this is the route he is going to be taking. And I think at least with these shows, one of the reasons he is going to do Europe specifically with this branding is because he will be treating this like he is punishing the US and all of its major...
And honestly, I do feel like it is much more neutral territory. You're not going to get people that are as connected to this beef as they are in the US. I feel like it would be almost impossible. The dude is still beloved internationally. So I feel like doing this is smart. You get to go to a crowd that obviously is going to rock with you. If he gets the response that I'm thinking he's going to get, which is going to be a favorable one, then I feel like that's going to look good when he starts putting out all these clips and all this stuff and trying to change the narrative. Right now, I feel like, yeah, he's using social media to change the narrative and the perception of him, because that PDF allegation definitely stuck. You know, I think that's really the biggest reason why he's so pissed off, because like out of everything to stick, that's possibly the worst thing to have attached to your name like on the planet. How many other things are there in this world that like I honestly despise as much as that? There really is nothing. So I can see why he'd be pissed, but fam, he's got to be really careful how you re-engage, because you're doing all this. Kendrick is probably setting something up right now. You can definitely assume that Kendrick is in the lab right now cooking up. He was already in the lab cooking up his album, so he's still sharp, fam. The last thing you want to do is give these people like a heads up. And honestly, now he's probably gonna release a record as soon as you drop yours, because you've been telegraphing it, saying it's coming. So just be careful with that, and definitely just be careful with like using some of these streamers, because that's the other thing. Drake does really well with surprise releases, and him basically having these people go and like, dude, they're like showing us messages, they're showing us all this stuff between Kai and Ak, leaking out messages and basically putting these crazy expectations on these records that just makes it harder for Drake to meet. isn't doing himself any help.
Rappers for turning on him, which is kinda clever, I guess, and will try to make some sort of grand point out of this. But again,
He's got to make
it just
himself
does
like the
not seem like
underdog.
you are bringing the proper level of force to this situation, considering where everything is at. But now the
Hate
last piece of
survivors.
Drake's plan so far. We see all of this start to connect a lot more, and it really doubles down on the direction he is going to be taking this chapter of his career, and these next disses for his opponents, because in line with all of these rumors and flipping the names of the music that was dedicated to you, Drake also seems to have revealed the title to his next album through a cryptic tweet that was not posted by himself, but through the man he is going to be releasing an entire collab album with this fall in Party Next Door, as Party posted and deleted, "We don't need you." And now with this, which is obviously mimicking the title of Future and Metro Boomin's albums We Don't and Still Don't Trust You, and knowing what we already know about how Drake is preparing to seemingly tour with a
Two of the sassiest people in the business. It's gonna be wild.
flip of the Not Like Us name. All of this starts to become a lot more clear, as it seems like Drake is going to fully be embracing his biggest rivals in Kendrick, Future, and Metro Boomin's disses, and then with this tour and collab album, his plan is going to be to pretty much shove everything they did right back in their face. And now just looking at the prospect of this move from Drake on paper, the fact that he's going to be releasing an album with Party Next Door, who is from Canada and on his OVO sound label, and beyond this, the project is going to steer away from hip-hop as it will be an R&B record, will definitely benefit the pettiness of this at least. Because if Drake could stay within his literal homeland and outside of the rap world and release something that can be great, it will definitely turn some heads. And if he tours through Europe and is able to match the crowd somebody like Travis Scott is bringing out right now, it will definitely speak volumes, and at least from an optics standpoint, will give him some major points. But at the same time of all of this, if all Drake's plan is to sing his way out of a beef, it does not seem like the best way to try and start some sort of a round two in this feud. Because while Drake may be able to exist outside of hip-hop and give us a couple of melodic hits, is this really going to do anything to not prove Kendrick right? Especially when Kendrick said things like this? I mean, as Universal Music Group who...
I mean, that's a big fact. Like, he said it himself, he likes Drake with the melodies. If you just go and make dope melodical music, then you are really just proving his point. The dude does what he does well. I don't think there's any denying that. I feel like a lot of it is just how he's treated people, and just he's built up a lot of bad equity. And there's not really too many people defending him, but his like super fans right now,
who is of course Drake's label, have claimed some of the song leaks he has posted to his burner account. Maybe
That's
this
wild.
is a tease that there is still another project coming between all of this, or that we are going to be getting some sort of full-on diss tracks. But as it stands, and with all of the...
Also, you got to remember, this guy is like one of the biggest pop artists in the world. I don't think he's releasing this leak just off his own whim. I feel like he did speak to people. He got the okay. Then pulling it down, this is probably all just marketing for something that he has coming up. Even with like his stature in the game, he's still signed to like a parent company. He still has Lucian Grange to answer to. Like, at the end of the day, these artists know, like, all right, not to leak stuff. Even though sometimes a record will get leaked if like they're not being allowed to by the label, and just out of anger, just out of pettiness, they'll go and like drop it anyway. But Drake still has to answer to somebody when this stuff comes out, because at the end of the day, a lot of people are heavily invested into this man.
Signs that Drake has been pointing to, which really shows that he is not going to be rapping for a long time. It looks like round two of this beef is going to definitely come, as Drake pretty much tries to get himself back into the good graces of hip-hop culture by pretty much just making an album and doing a tour out of sheer pettiness. And if this really is what Drake is planning, considering the stakes of all this and the fact that even if this album and tour are a success by never dissing Kendrick head-on and lyrically at that, he will never be able to clear his name of all of the stains. And
of course not. If you're not shooting any direct shots, like, they're not really shots anymore, they're just subliminals. And the way Ak was saying it, like, he's excited to hear Drake sub him. If that's what's going to go down, I think we're kind of past that. Like, you're not going to win the round by throwing subs. You're going to get knocked out again by Kendrick if he comes with like another Not Like Us and you're dropping like a love ode to like the hate. I mean, you just got to be really smart. These people do have teams like planning all this stuff, and yeah, Drake does seem like he's very hands-on. But like, dude, you got to be smart with how you like play the game. You definitely got to go get the 48 laws of power, man. Silence can be deadly, fam.
And will really only be helping Kendrick Lamar's agenda. While Drake thinks he will be doing something here that will change the tides of this beef, all it's really going to be doing is causing more chaos around his name, and with projects and moments that are going to directly be mirroring the branding of some of the worst things that have ever been released against him. At the end of the day, he will only further solidify his failure within the very DNA of his own music. And as Drake
He's having an
continues to stay
identity
so
crisis right
fixated
now.
onto this beef, while people, especially his listeners who are outside of the general hip hop culture, will not care about this forever, by
Yeah.
constantly bringing these moments back up and releasing music and experiences that are going to directly reflect what happened, he is going to forever embed this L into the very DNA of his entire brand. So, with all that said, let me know. What do you think of this plan from Drake to diss Kendrick Lamar?
Yeah, I mean that's very true. Like you keep bringing it up, you're not letting the moment have its life, and I feel like I stress that in a lot of videos that are touching on the subject matter. You gotta let the moment rock, let it live. You know, this shelf life isn't forever. Yeah, it's the biggest diss song ever, most successful diss song of all time, due to charted #1. Diss songs don't do that. Not even back to back did that. So for this to do that, it's an accomplishment. Let it rock out. His album hasn't even dropped. It is smart for him to go and do the more melodical stuff because he knows that's something that like who the casuals are really going to gravitate towards too. And honestly, some of the people that did side with Kendrick still do love the more like sing-songy stuff that Drake does. They can at least tolerate it better. But yeah, I don't feel like it's smart for him telegraphing all this stuff. He got to move kind of in silence and then strike because you doing all this is just gonna like cause Kendrick to like go back into the lab and prepare himself. I just feel like just move smarter, bro. Like if you get mollywop round two, like how do you come back from that at that point? At least in terms of like you wanting to be viewed in a certain way amongst like a certain subset of fans, because I do feel like with his back catalog, he's gonna be fine forever. It's like M. People haven't rocked with M's projects in like 10 years, fam. And the dude is still #2 most streamed rapper. So like that's saying a lot. People's back catalogs weigh super, super heavy, which is a reason why Drake is still the #1 most streamed artist every month now. Most of the world is not invested in like this beef like we are. Yeah, there is people that are tapped into the culture and they understand it, they respect it, and they may be, but the general consensus is that most people don't care. If they get a dope bop to listen to, they're gonna bump it. I don't think he's gonna be obliterated from music. It's gonna be interesting to see how he pivots though. Let me know what you guys think. How do you guys feel about like Drake re-engaging again? Or do you even think he's trying to diss him again? I think with all the subs and all the like the posts and stuff like that that he's been making, I feel like it heavily, heavily implies that. It does seem like he's even like having like some type of grudge with like J. Cole. I don't know. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. Guys, we're like less than 10 away from 2K. It is freaking awesome. You guys are freaking dope. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like the dialogues are always created. I do read all the comments. Definitely hit the like and subscribe button, guys. It does the channel wonders. Let's get to 2K, like fam, 5K by the end of the year. And yeah, let's keep doing this. Hope you guys love the video, and I hope to see you guys soon.